Hey guys, I wanted to tell you about Kubla Cubed. It is a powerful piece of software that I found for doing takeoffs, especially if you've got any sort of print on a job that you're getting yourself into. You can do takeoffs, you can do volume calculations, you can do all sorts of stuff with this software. And I'm going to be totally honest with you, for the price point, you cannot beat it, and it is very simple, relatively speaking, to all of the other takeoff software options out there. So if you get a chance, check it out. It's called Kubla Cubed, and you can click the link below to grab it. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today's Down and Dirty. I want to talk about the difference between working in a production environment and something like this where we're working in more of a precision environment. So if you guys have been following the channel, you notice that a lot of our stuff talks about production because a lot of our industry, it's built around moving as much material as quickly and as efficiently as possible. But there's also another side of the industry, which is kind of this, the service side, doing the tight, small residential jobs where you're working around people. And we're gonna dig in a different way because we're not as concerned about production. Yes, we still wanna be efficient, but what the priority is here is safety. And so what we've got here is we've got Ethan and one of the gentlemen from Pete Black Plumbing here, who has also kindly decided to participate in the video with us. And these guys are working down in the trench, which means if I'm swinging my bucket around, I need to be very aware of what they're doing. I need to be paying very close attention to every maneuver and move that I make. And we're gonna start thinking about this job differently. Obviously, just from a digging standpoint, and we're not gonna do any real digging today, just because the digging's already done. This is more talking about concepts. When I dig this trench, I'm not gonna go out there and go hog wild and try to get down to grade within one pass. In fact, I'm not even gonna be concerned about totally filling my bucket every scoop I take. Because as you can see, there's a lot of things we can damage. There's a deck, there's people, there's pipes in the ground, there's a lot of stuff that can go wrong. And so we need to concentrate on that rather than trying to get the fullest bucket possible. And in all honesty, when we were digging underneath the deck here, that cross brace, if we were going for a full bucket, there's a good chance you're going to disturb enough earth because you're putting enough pressure on it that we could actually disrupt some of the pilings here for the deck. So that's one of the key differences when we're digging around people in an environment like this, is we are not focused on true production. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is the actual process of maneuvering around these guys. So if Ethan needed some dirt back here, one of the things we're going to pay attention to is we're not going to swing over anyone. Because one, you might have a hydraulic failure. Yes, the risk of that is pretty minimal, but you always want to be aware that you could potentially have a hydraulic failure, and we don't want to crush one of these guys with our bucket, so we're never going to swing over top of our guys. Now, before you all catch me in the comments, are there times when you're going to have to swing over people? Absolutely. But we're going to be very safe, and we're going to be very aware of what we're doing if we have to swing over people. Sometimes it just can't be avoided. I know people are going to bitch. It is what it is. Now, one of the other things we're going to think about when we're swinging around these people is I'm not going to fill my bucket all the way up. Because what happens if I'm swinging over here and I have a big old dirt clod that's sitting on the edge of my bucket, and as soon as I stop moving, that dirt clod falls off and hits my guy in the head? Well, that's not going to work. Another thing we're going to think about is after we're done with the scoop and we're going to swing back over these guys with an empty bucket, and we're really not going to get the sticky factor here that I want because this is all loose dirt. But after we dump our bucket, we got some residual in our bucket. We want to kind of clean that bucket out a little bit. If you've got a chunk kind of sitting in the corner of your bucket, you want to try to clean that out. Because if we start to swing over here and our bucket's open, again, we don't want that clump to fall out and hit one of our guys. We're going to be swinging and moving a lot slower and a lot smoother, and we're especially when we're getting close, we're going to move real nice and slow because one, we want to stay in total control, but two, we want these guys to understand that I am in control. We don't want to have any erratic movements that are going to scare them or make them nervous, because no one's going to want to work with you if you're a crazy sporadic operator when people are standing a foot or so from your bucket. But what's eventually going to happen is you're going to build trust with your guys because they know you have your machine under control. You're going to do it in a safe way that you're going to be able to work in close proximity. And I will say, one of the biggest things I'm going to tell you is anytime you are not running the machine, if you need to grab something in your lunchbox, if you need to take off your sweatshirt, if you need to lean forward to communicate with someone, always pull up. And let me change my camera here so you can see it. Always lift your safety bar. I have read numerous articles over the last couple of years from guys who have spun around. One in particular stands out. A guy was spinning around in his lunchbox just to grab some water or some, a snack, and he leaned forward, hit his joystick. The stick went out and pinned his labor against the side of the hole and crushed him and killed him. That's all it takes. So always when you're working around people, it's always a good practice to do anyway. I try to get in the habit of just doing it always, but especially when you're working with guys in the hole, if you're gonna do anything where you are not hands on your controls in control, just lift that safety bar. So as always, I hope this gives you guys some quick tips and trips. We'll catch you on the next one.